not going to lie, a little bit of suffering because it's mentally tough. It's physically tough because you have to change a lot of things like your diet. Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. Very informative video for you all today. As always, lots of fundamentals to cover. We're going to be talking about the banking system. We're going to be talking about paying off debt. I'm going to be showing you guys some interesting statistics. I love that word, statistics. Say it 3 times fast. Many blessings to you all. Welcome back. Don't forget, on the YouTube page, we're going to be doing a giveaway once we reach 15,000 subscribers as well. Don't forget, I'm going to be uploading this to both the YouTube and the Rumble. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers on the Rumble page, we're going to be doing a $100 giveaway specifically, along with a CyPRX either hat or t-shirt to 1 lucky subscriber. So make sure that you all are clicking the link in the description down below of these videos and heading over to our Rumble page, where we go a little bit more in depth behind the scenes, doing big, massive breakdowns on things in the news that the mainstream media is not covering. So with that being said, we'll start here with this fundamental. This is from May 6, 2023. According to a professor, Amit Siro, a banking expert at Stanford University, around half of the U.S. lenders are underwater. He goes on to say, let's not pretend that this is just about Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic. He said, adding, a lot of the U.S. banking system is potentially insolvent. He goes on to say right here, around 2,315 banks across the U.S. are currently sitting on assets worth less than their liabilities, according to a Hoover Institution report by Professor Siro and a group of banking experts. Very interesting, to say the least, that all of this banking crisis is going on. And something that we've covered on both the YouTube and the Rumble page is that a lot of these banks just concluded a visit to this Digital Assets Week here in California. Now, just to show you guys, they were talking about tokenizing private equity markets, which ranges over the hundreds of trillions of dollars.
As well. So it's estimated that the private equities market is 4 times the size of the public markets. So, you know, I believe, and I was just in this meeting for the last 2 days around digital assets, where private equities markets will definitely see a high level of adoption rates of blockchain. And the reason is because you can really create liquidity in the private markets by utilizing blockchain and tokenization, transparency in the market, which is important as you open up these markets to a great.
I'm referring to what may sound bold to some, and I think it did when it was published, but one of the headlines, estimates was, 16 trillion in tokenized assets by 2030. And people said, whoa, 16 trillion. That represents less than 2% of the total asset value across public and private markets. I've got 3 numbers for you: 50, 160, 330. And those numbers are in trillions. There's 50 trillion in private equity. That's, private company value.
Right. We got real estate, debt, things of that nature. And you guys can see the list of banks that were at this event. We see Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan. We got HSBC, Wells Fargo, right? We got Morgan Stanley. Okay. Citi over here, BlackRock, right? So follow the money. Right? Don't get too fear-mongered by what's going on in the mainstream media. However, take the initiative to protect yourself and understand that this digital evolution is happening. And the major banking institutions that do survive this purge, they are going to be the ones that tokenize all their assets, and we're going to see a massive utility run, in my personal opinion. Now, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit further. I tweeted this out to you all. Having money in the banking system at this point is clearly not the best option. If you prepare for the worst, then when the worst happens, you do not panic while everyone else around you is. I cannot stress enough to my viewers, my followers, please take it upon yourself to always prepare for the worst, okay? I want to take your attention over here to this fundamental, May 6, 2023, same date as this fundamental, interesting to say the least. Okay, and it goes on to read, a U.S. government may freeze American bank withdrawals as currency and capital flight mounts. Now, we've already seen that over half of U.S. banks are potentially insolvent. Now, I'm not trying to pump fear into the market, but again, this is a possibility. How do we know that? We know that in the past, let's just say, for example, last year, 2022, Canada went on to freeze bank accounts of Freedom Convoy truckers who were doing their whole anti-vaccine mandate blockades, right? And this did not get a lot of mainstream coverage, okay? And then this is a further fundamental that came out later. Canada ends its freeze on hundreds of accounts tied to the protests. So we know for a fact that they did freeze bank accounts and that they can do such a thing. So when you see articles like this, don't just chuck it off to a conspiracy theory like it's never going to happen. It is a possibility. But what I want to further take your attention into is a little bit more of a behind the scenes kind of mindset. All right. This gentleman, Hendry, goes on to say, a further decline in the M2 money supply, which in part tracks money in liquid checking accounts, could convince the US government to step in and prevent citizens from taking their capital out of the banking system. Now, remember, for quite some time here at CYPRX, we've been saying that some type of black swan catalyst, and our personal opinion, is going to shift this whole entire financial ecosystem over to a digital one, where they create some type of black swan event that forces individuals into accepting this CBDC allotment, this digital currency, whatever the case may be. In my personal opinion, to get people to transition over to this new way of doing things on a digital means of payment, whether that's through government CBDCs or whatever the case may be, there has to be some type of event, okay? They're not just going to give up their sovereignty freely. There has to be some type of reason as to why people are just accepting handouts from the government via CBDCs or whatever the case may be. Okay, you guys kind of get the picture. But moving on, the interesting part of this fundamental is when it says right down here, when it comes to where Americans can place their capital amid the uncertainty, he goes on to mention the best place would possibly be US Treasuries and potentially Bitcoin, right? Now that sparked something in my mind, because at the same time, we saw this fundamental come out 2 weeks ago, right? So remember, this fundamental came out May 6th. This fundamental came out 2 weeks ago, and it says Bitcoin soars above 29,000 as M2 money supply drops to a 90-year low, right? Well, this gentleman right here is saying, amid the uncertainty, where could people potentially park their capital in Bitcoin? Well, all at the same time this is happening, right? Bitcoin surging because the M2 money supply dropping, banks going insolvent, people, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, pulling out their money from banks because of fear of losing their capital and parking it in a potentially safer asset like Bitcoin. Okay, check this out. All at the same time, I said to you guys, get your crypto while you still can and put it in cold storage. We saw this article come out. Argentina banning payment apps from offering Bitcoin to customers, right? The central bank said Thursday that payment platforms cannot offer crypto trading services to their customers. Again, a flight to safety in Bitcoin could potentially cease to exist if this whole entire situation gets worse. I'm just saying the government could pull some kind of crazy stuff. And as always, attempt to protect yourselves in all ways possible. If you have crypto, get it off of centralized exchanges, cold storage, or crypto, because who knows, in the future, you might not be able to. Okay, there's so many things that could happen from now until 2030. And I don't want to see anybody fall victim to the government's negative actions surrounding this whole entire market space and what's going on. So just to kind of give you guys a further in-depth perspective, I wrote a little bit of a tweet about this. And I went on to say right here just the other day, we all know the M2 money supply has dropped to a 90-year low, and there is a shortage of liquid funds in the banking system. That is a fact. You guys can go do that research yourselves. Everyone needs to be prepared just in case, which is why I've been warning people for over a year now. If you've been following CYPRX for quite some time now, you guys know that this is to be a fact. Both on the CYPRX Twitter and the CYPRX YouTube page, we have been telling people what we are potentially doing in the market to diversify our portfolio outside of the banking system, okay? And I said to you guys, assets that provide liquidity outside of the banking system, like crypto, gold, and silver. Certain situations are highly unlikely, so I admitted that it's most likely not going to happen. But could it happen? Yes, right? People need to understand, to prevent a complete collapse of the financial system, the government and the Federal Reserve do consider a range of measures, including things like a freeze on bank accounts. This would involve temporarily preventing individuals from withdrawing funds from their checking accounts to prevent a run on the banking system. While such measure might be necessary to prevent a complete financial collapse, it would have significant negative impacts on citizens who are not prepared for such a situation. People who rely on their checking accounts to pay for food, housing, and other essentials would suddenly find themselves unable to access their funds, causing widespread hardship and potentially leading to social unrest. So again, I'm not attempting to pump fear, uncertainty, and doubt into the market. I'm reading fundamentals to you all and trying to get you all to see the possible things that could take place in this market that nobody's really paying attention to, because there's other euphoria going on in the market that people's attention is more oriented to, like Pepe, for example. Oh my goodness. Okay. So moving on to kind of switch my talking points real fast. I saw this article. This is from the 29th of April of this year. Nearly 3/4 of millennials are living paycheck to paycheck, report says. And then I went on to read this gentleman's tweet right here, the Frugali. I'm not going to butcher that one. He went on to say, how would you answer this DM? All right. And the DM says, hello, how do you get out of debt with small income? And I went on to reply to this. Now, this is a little bit of a mouthful, but if you all enjoy information like this, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button, subscribe. I hope that everybody has an amazing week ahead. Don't forget about the giveaways that we're going to be doing once we reach 15,000 subs on YouTube and once we reach 1,000 subs on Rumble. Again, the link for our Rumble is in the description down below. If you don't have a Rumble, go ahead and create an account. It's free to do so. And we drop valuable information that we are not uploading on the YouTube channel over on our Rumble page. Now, I'll leave you guys with this right here. Again, how do you pay off your debt with a low income? I said to you, cut out subscriptions. That's number one, in my personal opinion. A lot of people have hidden subscriptions: Netflix, Disney, Hulu Plus, Spotify, gym memberships, all of this stuff that's just, you know, a couple of dollars, less than $20. But if you have 5 subscriptions that are $20 or less, that could amount to hundreds of dollars per month that you're spending that you don't absolutely need to be. So I said, if you have subscriptions to magazines, newspapers, streaming services, consider cutting them out. These subscriptions can add up quickly and can eat into your budget. Look for free alternatives or limit yourself to 1 subscription at a time. Now, I'm giving you guys personal experience right here. I'm not writing this off of some vlog or anything like that. I actually took time to type this. I had $56,000 of debt when I got out of the military, and I was able to pay that off in less than 2 years by doing these things. So again, it is not easy. It's going to have to take a massive amount of discipline on your behalf and kind of and not going to lie, a little bit of suffering, because it's mentally tough. It's physically tough because you have to change a lot of things, and who you see, who you talk to. It's just, I'm going to get into it. Okay. But I was able to actually do this. I had 2 motorcycles and a car and paid those all off in less than 2 years. I've never had any college debt or anything like that, but $56,000 of debt is a lot. And I was able to pay that off. I mean, when I first got out of the military, I was making less than 6 figures a year. I think I was making on average around, I don't know, $50,000 a year or something like that, right? So just to kind of give you guys a perspective on my life over, this is now what, 6-7 years ago, okay? So just pay attention to detail. Anyways, I said to you guys, stick to a strict, cheap, but healthy diet. Food is a significant expense for most people, and it can be a challenging thing to cut back on your grocery bill. However, you can save money by planning your meals in advance, buying generic brands, and shopping for sales. Now, seriously, when you're in the grocery store, and let's just say, for example, you're buying a jar of peanut butter, okay? Look around, take 1 jar of peanut butter and compare it to the rest. Get the cheapest option. That's just as an example. Do that for all your food. However, what I personally did is I bought things that I can cook in bulk. So I would eat 2 square meals a day when I was trying to penny pinch and save money. I would buy a massive bag of rice, a massive bag of vegetables, and a tray of chicken. That whole thing right there, those 3 things that I just mentioned to you all, can create 2 square meals per day, which is really all you need if you fast in the morning to survive, and cost less than $30 a week. Okay. So if you're not doing that, again, you're not taking the necessary precautions in order to really chip away at your debt. I said also underneath of that, use less gas, electricity, and water. Utility bills can be a significant expense, but there are ways to cut back. I've seen people turn a $200 a month utility bill by cutting electricity, cutting water, and cutting gas usage down to a $50 a month electricity bill. Boom, you just saved $150 that you can now funnel into paying off your debt. And then obviously, of course, prioritize debt repayment. Okay. When you have small income, it is essential to prioritize debt repayment. making a budget that includes your minimum debt payments and try to pay more than minimum whenever possible. That means $10 extra, $20 extra, $40 extra. By taking all of these things that you're cutting out and funneling that towards your debt, it may seem like a small amount, but I'm telling you all, over time, again, the compounding effect, it really does start to make a difference. You can turn a 5-year debt sentence into a 2.5-year debt sentence by doing some of these things. If you're not willing to take the necessary disciplined steps in order to get out of debt, then it's not obviously clearly going to work for you. And how do you know it's going to work for you if you don't actually try it for a couple of months, right? So last but not least, obviously, of course, look for additional sources of income, whether that's you take up day trading, whether that's you start a side business, whether that's you go work for somebody for some side income, pull some side jobs. If you really, truly want to get out of debt, you will do what's necessary in order to do so. Understand that it requires discipline, creativity, and sacrifice by cutting out these things, sticking to strict diets, and using less gas, electricity, and water, prioritizing debt repayment, and looking for additional sources of income. However, you can really seriously work towards becoming debt-free. All right. Remember that every little bit counts and small changes can make a big difference over time. So, again, I hate seeing my followers and individuals that, follow me on Twitter and the YouTube space fall victim to these types of statistics. However, it is the truth, and not everybody has the means necessary to get out of situations like this, but you all be disciplined out there. As of what we've gone over in this fundamental breakdown so far, protect yourselves out there by diversifying your portfolio with assets that provide liquidity outside of the banking system. You guys are going to have to do research on what those potentially are for your portfolio. I know what it is that I'm putting my money in. I've done research on that to show you guys what that is. Many blessings to you guys. I hope that this video, brings you and sets you off with the week right, with the proper mindset. As always, be cognizant, be aware out there, be prepared. All right. Make sure that you're subscribed, smash that thumbs up button, and I will see you guys in later video breakdowns this week.